Welcome to Hardheaded Podcast. We're excited that you've joined us as we have a conversation. We found that a good conversation allows us to share what's on our mind, whether current events, what's grinding our gears, or our pet peeves.
It also allows us to share our top 3, a list of our favorite things on any given subject, most of which are highly opinionated. In closing, we share a good word. Solid friendships are encouraging. Even if we joke and give each other a hard time, our ultimate responsibility is to uplift each other.
Our goal is that you'll feel like you're part of the conversation, like you were in the studio with us, and that you feel encouraged after tuning in to our podcast. It's time to join the conversation. All right, welcome back to another episode of Hardheaded. I'm Matt Amos here with Chet Sears and Troy Trussell. Today, we've got Chet bringing us what's on his mind. Our top 3 is the top 3 jobs that we've had, and we're going to close it out with a good word from Troy. What is this? Do you have something else for us to try?
Nope.
Oh,
nothing to try.
Okay,
nothing
we're
to try
breaking the
this week.
streak this week. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Chet, kick us off. What's on your mind?
Nice job, Matt.
Thanks.
Really
I'll do
good.
what I can. Was that enough?
I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
I mean, I've lowered my expectations,
Well, good.
and you're meeting them now.
Excellent. Let's lower them even more.
Last year, he was so even keel because he was holding in all his emotions on not getting on social media and blasting people. And this year, he's got a little more pep in his step because he's able to get that out because he is not vowed to say anything horrible or detestable or...
I mean, I don't do that anyway.
I'm just kidding.
He behaves that way.
Sometimes.
But he's back on social.
So a couple weeks ago, I'm driving down the road on a Saturday morning. I'm on Maze Road, for those in Wichita, North Maze Road. And I look up, one of these stores had just opened up, serves coffee drinks.
I know where this is going.
And there is a line of cars on this. This is predicted to be a 100-degree day, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a line of cars. I would argue, almost a quarter mile long to go into this coffee place to get coffee.
Franchise coffee.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in recent memory. That you're going to sit in your car in a line on black asphalt to get coffee on a 100-degree day for the sole reason that you don't want to be left out.
Read that last line again.
I said asphalt.
Yeah, you did.
You delivered it well. That was great.
For dramatic effect. Like, what is wrong? Like, nobody should want coffee that bad, and I don't think they do. I did some thinking about this, guys.
It's a fad.
It's not a fad. Well, it could be your definition of a fad. It is a psychological issue. These people
I could get behind that.
have a psychological issue. Now, I'm not saying they're mentally deranged. I'm not saying it's a defect. This thing called herd mentality. There is a fear that you're missing out on something, or you're going to be in some conversation. This is the only thing I can think of.
FOMO.
You're going to be in a conversation with somebody that has been there and had that coffee, and you're going to say, I haven't had it yet. And I don't get it. I am a person that is wired in a way, and I did some studying on this. This is not normal, maybe not healthy from a propagation of a species. Herd mentality is there to protect you, right? If everybody's doing something, you should probably do it too, because they're doing it for a good reason. But I think when we get into humanity, that's gone. Like, the herd is dumb. The herd is stupid. The herd is making decisions not for their, to further their race or their species. They're doing this because they're scared of being left out of some social situation.
Well, and if in animals, if a sheep wanders off and is not doing what the herd is doing, the other sheep look at him and like, what's this idiot doing?
Judge him.
Where's he going?
Sheepingly.
I'm saying like,
yeah. So you could be.
It's the opposite in humans. Like we just herd and do things that are bad for us too.
Yeah, but I'm along the lines of, if that's what everybody's doing, I probably shouldn't be doing it. Right. And most of everybody on this earth is like, oh, there's a big line there. I need to go get in it. I can't miss out on that.
That's actually biblical.
I don't doubt it, but I don't know what scripture you're talking about.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, the wide is the road,
yeah.
And right, straight to the coffee place apparently, and then Hades after that.
That's where it starts. Coffee and the road to hell.
So I started looking into this. That there's a they call it a heuristic. I read this article by in Psychology Today by Rob Henderson. It's called "The Science Behind Why People Follow the Crowd." And one of the things that he talked about is a heuristic decision, which means it's a mental shortcut. I'm not even going to think about it because I assume that everybody else in that line has thought about it and come to a good conclusion. And they haven't. I will probably at some point in time in my life go to this coffee store. I probably will. But the fact that there are 1 million people in that line is not the reason I'm like, oh, I need to go get some of that. Let me get in line. It's like, no, I'll probably get around there. I live here. I don't know how many more years I'll live here, but probably many, many more. And at some point in time in my life, I will find out if that coffee is good or not.
If it's still around.
If it survives that long. But it was ridiculous. And what's happening is exactly what marketing people want to happen. Is have a big line there. They may have been giving away coffee. I don't know. But everybody driving by is thinking, oh my gosh, this must be the best thing in the world. Same thing happened about a half mile from that place when the Dunkin' opened up like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Like this is just utterly ridiculous on how people just follow this herd mentality.
Did you do any research on that same coffee shop opening up in other states?
No.
Same thing happened in Oklahoma.
People just line up around the block?
People just lined up around the block for the same coffee shop.
But I mean, like Chick-fil-A, like people go and do a thing, camp out overnight ahead of that.
We already know the reason for that. That's MSG.
Yeah.
So good.
That's so good. Those are all drug addicts. Those are all addicts out in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Hey, people are addicted to their coffee and caffeine too. So, I mean, we may be onto something there.
But it's interesting.
Starbucks lines are the same way. Not as bad as Chick-fil-A, but they're pretty bad on peak hours.
The other thing that's pretty interesting, you get into some studies that was covered in this article, that if you make people think that it's something that other people are doing, then they're going to do it. And they ran this experiment in the Petrified Forest, wherever that is, somewhere out west. And they have all these trails that go out throughout the deal where they have these, the petrified wood and whatnot. And on these trails, they had signs that would say how many tons of petrified wood are stolen by people that walk down the trails. And and they actually did some measurements of, it's like 1.4 tons every year is stolen out of this one trail. And so this psychologist went in there and started moving those signs around. And they found that on trails that didn't have any signs, they would have substantially less things stolen than on trails that said, don't steal because so many people have stolen from this. that when you say so many people have taken this many tons, then people are like, I'm missing out on something. Like there's a reason they're stealing.
This must be worth something.
But if you don't put in their mind that there's theft, that people don't automatically think I should be stealing. It is a mental issue.
It's very interesting.
So, This is it's really interesting on some of this. You get to another article I read from learningmind.com written by Sherry Hurd. 5 examples of herd mentality and how to avoid falling into it. One of the biggest herd mentality phenomena that we actually know about today is Black Friday.
Oh yeah.
That's where I was going, where people, yeah.
The only reason that Black Friday exists is not because of the sales. Because I'll tell you right now, we're in August. I just went and bought a laptop at a Black Friday price. Like there's $300 off. They were just sent it out in their little email. We've got extreme sale on such and such, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get that. There's no line. There's no commotion. Nobody punched anybody in the face. Nobody was sticking. I
wasn't there.
Sticking TVs in the washing machines so they'd be there when they got there late. If they did get in line, all that kind of crazy stuff. But they actually got to get say, hey, how can we drum up a reason for people to line up outside, because that'll make everybody else feel that they're going to miss out on something and they need to get in the herd. Another one is it's just restaurants in general, and this was a perfect example. If you can get a lot of cars in the parking lot, then people are thinking that this is really good. There's got to be some good food there. We all know, we've discussed it on this podcast, if there are a lot of cars outside of a restaurant in Wichita, Kansas, that does not mean the food is good. That just means there's a lot of people in the parking lot. The food may not be that good. Another one is typically any sports team, if they start doing well and they get real popular and everybody starts wearing their stuff, next thing you know, you're a fan. Like I personally saw this with the Chiefs, because when I moved up to Wichita, the Kansas City Chiefs stunk. Like they
stunk for a long time.
They were horrible. Got so bad. And there's some very, very diehard Chiefs fans, no matter win or lose, they're still Chiefs fans. But it got to the point where they weren't selling enough tickets to home games that they were blacking out the broadcast on TV, because they wanted to encourage people to buy tickets to go to the game. They were that bad at one point, and now Mahomes and Alex Smith started it, but Super Bowl win, playoff appearances, everybody's on board. You see Chiefs everywhere. There's this dude that's got like a Chiefs truck driving around town.
I've seen that.
Yeah. So bandwagon, sports fans. Another one that was interesting that she mentioned in this article, Disney is really big on this psychology. And where this came about was you can only ride, like if you go to a theme park, and I've only been to the Orlando theme parks. I haven't been to the Disneyland in California. But if you're there in the off season, you could ride every ride in a theme park and you're done before the day's over. And they were having this problem. Disney was like, hey, we need people to stay here all day. We don't need people to show up, ride all the rides they want to ride with their family, and then leave at like 1:00. We need them to stay and buy their afternoon snack and buy a dinner before they go, because it's a price to get in. And then the whole point is to keep you in as long as they could keep you in, so that you will spend money on food and souvenirs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
drinks.
They came up with this plan to how would we get people to stay to the end of the day. You know what? Right before close, we could shoot fireworks off.
Boom.
And then like, hey, you need to stay. And then what was happening is herd mentality in the negative for Disney. Before a fireworks show, it's extremely crowded, and then next thing you know, families just start pouring out around 1:00, 2:00. There's just a line headed towards the exit, and everybody else is like, oh, I guess there's nothing going on. We might as well leave too. And so people are just all, well, then they started doing the fireworks show, and I don't know if you went as a kid. We did the first time we went was back in 2015, and the big Epcot deal where they have the laser lights and the fireworks and all this stuff, and they got it in the lake, and you got all this. Like 2 hours before the fireworks show, people are starting to gather to get good seats to where they can see the show.
Yeah.
And so then you're like, oh my gosh,
That was happening in the 80s
yeah,
too.
we got to get seats. We got to, okay, we'll get all this. You go over there and get some churros for everybody, or you go, and then
Ooh, churros. That sounds good.
you got all this herd mentality. And I could tell you that the reason that you need the herd mentality is because what they're all staying for isn't necessarily that valuable. Like, it's just a cup of coffee, and you can wait. You can actually go for a week or two for that line to die down before you get some of that Dutch Brothers coffee. It ain't that good. I've never had it, but I can tell you right now, it can't be that good.
I can tell you right now, it's not that
So
good.
I put a little post out there, weeks ago when I saw this, and I was like that. I could come to the conclusion that restaurant is selling crack, not coffee. It's crack.
But I do want to point out though, because you were
Yeah.
yeah.
You got any more of that? But and then a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, I've actually had that coffee. It's pretty good." And they're probably getting iced coffee and not hot coffee.
Yeah,
And I was like,
I saw that.
ice as in crack cocaine.
Coffee over ice. But it's funny because I remember when Black Rifle Coffee was going to go public, and you're like, I'm not going to buy into that stock because it's just that market's just so flooded. It's not gonna work.
With their plan to go brick and mortar, not with their coffee in general, but their
Right,
brick and
but
mortar plan.
Yeah, but their brick and mortar plan. But that's exactly what Dutch Brothers is doing.
Yeah, and it's not going to work.
I'm just saying, herd mentality. Everybody starts flocking to Black Rifle. That stock's going to go boop, and then I sell, and then doop.
Yeah, but here. Let me tell you a little story about the Dunkin' Donuts that was wrapped around the block when they opened up. There was nobody there. Nobody. And you drive by it any day now, and it's like there may be a car there, maybe not, because they've got the Dunkin', they've got the Dutch Brothers. They just opened one up at 53rd and Mays. No, 45th and Mays. And the old Casey's there. They put a coffee shop in the parking lot of that old Casey's by the middle school up there.
Is that a local one? Probably.
Yeah. And then you got the Starbucks here. And then we're just talking on Mays Road. I'm talking about scooters down the road.
On Ridge. Yeah.
It is like the idea is spent, but you're going to get the big flash in the pan. And then the market's going to be saturated so much that it's not feasible. People aren't. You can get a gallon of gas. You can't even go buy a gallon of gas for a cup of coffee these days. Like, my goodness. Like, you're going to go spend $4 on a cup of coffee when you can make it at home?
50 cents.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. And
I'm gonna solve all this coffee problem real quick.
it's not a coffee problem. It's a herd mentality problem.
I'm gonna
Like,
start.
people have problems. And I don't know why.
Go down, get yourself the Nespresso machine, get yourself a little pod. It's $600. Yeah, you're gonna pay for it up front, but then your little cup of coffee is only 50 cents, and it's legit coffee, better than you're gonna get there.
I don't know. It's probably good coffee. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying from a herd mentality perspective, people need to wake up. Like, you should ask yourself, why am I in my car when it's 100 degrees
Buying hot coffee.
or cold coffee? Like, why am I going to wait 30 minutes in this line?
The only thing I'm waiting 30 minutes for is a Sport Burger cheeseburger.
I'd wait for that.
Not in the summertime.
I've waited for that, but I wasn't burning $5.27 diesel sitting in that line either.
Yeah.
That's true too. That's a big factor as well.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. So, but based on what I saw, we're nowhere near a recession. Gas is nowhere too expensive. Like, if people are literally going to spend their Saturday waiting to buy $5 coffee in their car, running their air conditioner,
Yeah.
like,
Spending that gas money.
I'm just, it's not worth it.
I would still say
So
that
people's time
we're
isn't valuable anymore. Your time, if that's how you're spending your time, you don't. I don't get it. I just don't get
Let's
it.
see, my whole, and I get it. And my whole problem with coffee is it's almost like a god to some people. They worship coffee,
Yeah,
and that's a problem to me. Like, I don't care if you drink coffee or have coffee, but I see people that there's all the posts and stuff like that. Like, oh, don't talk to me until I get my cup of coffee in me, or don't do this, or,
Yeah.
I got to do this before I do anything. And, it's like, really? I mean, are we putting that above other things? I get it. By the way, Black Rifle Coffee did tank, but I sold it like 27. So
Dude, I ought to be getting
it's back at 9, which is what it launched at.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to go down. That's what I consider discretionary income. Like, good grief.
Well, you don't need it.
No.
You don't need it. And I know people that have become coffee snobs.
You could argue that you're a coffee snob.
Kinda.
Got your $7,000 coffee making machine.
Yes and no, but I've got a buddy, Josh, who's been a guest on this podcast, that is a true coffee snob now. Like, he would not, like, we were somewhere and he would not drink like a pot of drip brewed coffee from a filter. Like, it's got to be, the beans have to be ground. It's got to be put in and fresh and all that. And
If you want some good coffee here in Wichita, you need to try Beyond Legend Coffee.
Is it like a bag you can buy and bring home and brew in your own house?
Yes.
That's how you should do it.
But you can only get it, I think he's only at the farmers markets right now.
Yeah.
But it's really
Is
good.
he,
He's got like 4 flavors. He's at both farmers markets downtown.
So he does on one Saturday. I think I saw him. I took your parents to the farmers market a few weeks ago.
No.
Yeah, I did.
Nice. It's a great one.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's big.
Yeah, go by see Andrew at Beyond Legend
I'll have to get
Coffee.
some next time I'm there.
It's got I think 4 flavors right now. We got the Witch's Brew.
Mm-hmm.
They're all named fun names, Kansas type names, but Beyond Legend it's Bigfoot. Bigfoot's on the cover. It's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah. Really good stuff though.
But you might as well, that's what I'm saying. You might as well be buying something that you can make on your own at a cheaper price.
Well,
It's
and you can,
very high quality.
and you can make like 50 cups out of that one bag that probably cost you $7 instead of,
I think it costs $9.
either way. So that's 2 cups of coffee from a store.
Right.
The
Where we drank, my wife and I
only reason
drank
you
it
went to
for-
that store was so you would not be left out.
So you could say that you had Dutch Brothers coffee.
That's why half the people go to the movies that they go to. You know, a movie I've never seen, probably because I'm stupid. And I'm like, I've never seen it. I'm not, number one, I'm not going to see it because that's what everybody's talking about. Titanic. And I just never watched it. I'm like, I might as well keep this streak going of never watching Titanic. But that was the thing. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, Titanic is the best movie ever. Watch me not go see it and it's not going to impact my life. Watch what happens.
I saw it 3 times at the theater.
There you go. There you go.
I didn't see it at the theater.
But I mean, you get caught up in it if you're not paying attention. There, and it may not be coffee, it may not be the movies, but there's something that you're doing in your life for no other than you fear being left out from everything else. I saw a study,
IPOs
probably just showed up because I was
bad when it
googling all
comes
this
to
stuff.
IPOs.
But they had a deal there on I think it was a university campus where elevator going several floors, and they had it was like 10 people that there's like somebody that got the cameras on there, right? So somebody gets in the elevator on the high floor and pushes down. I'm going to go down to the bottom floor. And they ride down to the next floor, door opens, and like 10 people get on the elevator and they face the back of the elevator. And then they, doors close. And that person that's standing there, that like a normal person facing the door,
Turn around.
yeah, turns around before the elevator gets to the bottom because everybody else is facing the back of it. And it's not one of these elevators that's got the 2 door, that you can go down. It's like literally the back wall of the elevator. Like, don't be an idiot and turn around face the back. Just because everybody else is being an idiot doesn't mean you need to be an idiot. Like,
I got to use the old, if so-and-so jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge too?
Yeah.
To one of my kids the other day. That's pretty good.
that doesn't even make sense, Dad. Well, if somebody's facing the back of the elevator, are you going to do it too?
Right.
But I mean, it's really I don't think we notice, and I know there's stuff in my life that I don't know that my brain is telling me to do something for a stupid reason. Like, there's no really good reason to do this. We've seen that. I see that in lines.
For you, it's get out of bed.
No, well, in line, yeah. It's dumb. Don't even get up for this. But
Everybody else is doing it.
the
See how I can stay in bed and not care.
at the cafeteria at work, one of the cafeterias, there's 3 checkout lines, and typically there's one like in the middle of the room and then one over by the wall, and then one in between the two. And the right 2 are typically always 5 or 6 people in line. It moves pretty quickly. But the one in the middle, there's hardly anybody ever there. And I noticed today, after all this research I'd been doing, I looked up and people just continually get in the line where there's people. And nobody steps out on their own to go to the line with the empty register. Because why? Nobody else is there. I shouldn't go. I need to go where everybody else is.
I look for that line, especially at the grocery store.
Yeah, but
where's nobody getting checked out so I can be away from people?
Yeah, but
oh man, everybody's a self-checkout.
That goes back to that heuristic. I'm not going to use my brain power. I'm just going to get in line with everybody else. Like I'm trying to save mental energy by just doing what everybody else is doing. So my word, my what's on my mind, think and do, don't follow. Like heck,
say
politics.
Don't follow. Huh?
What is that?
Alice in Chains?
No, I don't know that one.
Jar of Flies album? Don't follow?
No, man. Sing some more of it for us, though. Maybe I'll remember it.
No, I'm good.
Come on. How does it go again? Anyway, that's what's on my mind.
Very good.
All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, we've got our top 3 favorite jobs we've had.
All right.
At Admiral's Pennant, our mission is to offer the latest and refined, high-quality masculine products and services to the modern gentleman, as well as provide him with the tools and products necessary to look, act, and feel confident in his appearance and social interactions. Check it out at admiralspennant.com. Without it, you might as well shave. And we're back with the top 3 jobs that we've had.
All right. I'll lead us off.
Troy, kick it.
Number 3. Number 3.
Podcast host.
No. Number 3, beer roller. I worked for Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser, in Shreveport,
That's when you drove the
Louisiana.
truck. We talked about truck driving.
Yeah, worked there, rolled beer, and drove a truck for 8 months. It was a good job.
What beer does Anheuser-Busch make?
Budweiser, Michelob, Bud Light, all that stuff.
Bud Platinum?
Not when I was there.
Oh.
So you sold it too. Like you would. How does that work?
I was on the country route. When you're on the country route, you're your own salesperson too. But basically, you're just taking orders.
Yeah.
You're counting beer and telling the owner of the store, hey, you're out of this, or you sold more of this week than you did last week. Do you want to buy more of this? You know, you kind of.
You keep that all on paper or a computer?
Well, we had computer, laptop
Yeah.
deals that we rode with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty cool technology. Even,
What'd you like about the job so much?
15, 18 years ago. Being on the road and just the work was kind of mindless. Just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thoroughly. Had a great helper. Greg was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were good friends. So it's fun. Numero dos. Production manager at Camback Smith Meadows.
Oh.
So this was the job I got right out of high school, right out of college. Started working at Camback. Then it was a Camback Advertising, and I got hired on as a graphic designer. Then 3 years later, the VP bought out the owner. And when she became the owner, she saw I had a talent for video and put me in charge of all the production. We did mostly training videos, 30-second commercials, a couple other different things back then, but that was the bulk of our work. But I worked there for 8 years. So doing that,
yeah.
And still what I do today is video production. So wouldn't be here doing video production with Trussell Media if I didn't have that job. So, and then number 1, probably the most fun I've ever had in a job.
Lifeguard.
I was a lifeguard for 5 years.
Nailed it.
Yep. All public, or not public, sorry, all private pools.
You know, there's a lifeguard shortage right now. You could just jump right back into it if you wanted.
Dude, I could.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. This sure doesn't pay as much though.
How much did you get back then?
Is owning a video production company. Back then, $5.25
Dude,
an hour.
Triple the pay right now. You get back into it,
Right.
3 times amount.
I remember like the second summer we worked, I got a raise up to $5.75.
Oh,
and boy,
baller. Dude.
I thought I was on top of the world right there. Yeah,
You probably have more cash in your pocket than you do right now.
probably so. Not really though. My wife sold that RV. Hey,
That's where I was, like making $9 an hour and single. I had more spending money than I knew what to do with. Like right now, I'm like, I don't have any spending money. I got 3 kids, 3 teenagers.
Yeah, you got one about to
Heading to
go
college.
to college.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. All right. That's it. That's my top 3.
Lifeguard.
Yeah, buddy. Yes.
You want me to go next?
Yeah, Marine.
1, 2, 3.
I would have to say number 3 would be the job that I do now, because I basically have free will to come and go. But I do get to see people come in at their worst and be able to talk them through the process, knowing where they're eventually going to end up, and they can't see it right then, but you know it's going to happen for them. And it's kind of a crazy little thing to watch when you see somebody do that, or when you go in and they've just been working and they can't get something, and then you walk into the room and you're like, oh, do this and this, and then they do it, and it's like you can see the light bulb go off in their head, and it's like, oh shoot, yeah, I can do this. And so that's pretty fun for me. So I really do enjoy that. Number 2 is going to be,
He also had some pretty awesome coworkers.
Over the years.
Coworker.
Over the years, yes.
the workforce is much better now.
It's better than it ever has been.
Because he's all alone in the room, probably sleeping, not being.
No, there's been a lot more porn lately.
Yeah.
But number 2 that's a tough one. I really enjoyed my first ever job, and I worked at Golf Park West before it was All Star Sports. And so I was there I started when I was 15, I think, is when I started working there, maybe 16. But I mean, running the batting cages, doing the driving range, go-karts, sometimes you'd have to work the register or whatever. But I mean, it was all high school kids that worked it, and we were pretty much all from different schools. And I mean, I got all the free range balls that I could ever want to hit. And that's when I started getting pretty good at golf, was just driving that. And then I had, of course, the mini golf that I could always go and just putt whenever I wanted. And then All-Star bought them out. And I think when I started working, I think I was $4.25 an hour is what I was making there. And then I think when I left, I was at $7.50, something like that. When I left is in quotes, because,
You were told to leave?
I was told to leave. I'm not going to say why on the podcast, but it may have had something to do with when they were doing the takeover and they didn't have they were putting in turf on the driving range, and they didn't have all the turf done yet. So a lot of it was dirt, and I knew how to take the regulators off the golf cart and make them go really fast, and took it out there and did some donuts. And then I found they'd left a skid steer when they were doing the indoor mini golf and redesigning it, and they'd left it in there. And of course those things don't have keys, so you just walk in and start it up, and I was driving that thing around. Pretty sure that's probably why I got fired from
Just
there. But
on the job training.
All right.
yeah, it was super fun. And then just a great school job. And then number 1, obviously, Marine Corps. I'd still be there probably if I hadn't been injured. I know my buddies are now at, I think 18, most of them are 18, 19 years. So I'd be a couple of years out from a full retirement. But I just don't think it gets any better than that. Even all the junk you have to put up with on a day to day when you're back being deployed is way better than being at home and just doing your training, because that sucks. Because they come up with all kinds of games for you to play, and then you have all these requirements that you got to meet and all this stuff. But actually being deployed and doing your job, what you're there to do is
like
awesome.
War game type stuff.
Well, I mean, you do training, and if you're in the rear, we're going to go to the backyard and we're going to practice clearing houses. Well, you set up rooms with engineer tape with doorways, and you practice clearing those rooms, and then it's just
only stuff that helps you stay alive.
Yeah, but it gets boring and it's hot, and then the hikes and stuff like that, which were just like mindless. Oh, we're gonna go into 25 miler. Wasn't too excited about that stuff. But when you're actually doing your job,
like somebody that really wanted to be in for their whole career,
right?
I can't even imagine trying to do those now at 40, trying to hike. Oh my gosh, I'd be torn up. That's my number one.
Fun.
Chet, what you got?
All right. Number 3. The title that I was given for this job was Straw Boss. But
so not the real boss, but just somebody that everybody thinks is the boss.
Right. Yeah.
Straw boss.
I worked for this widow lady that lived right outside of Ruston when I was in college, and her name was Miss Fowler. And she had acreage and was very involved in her retirement years with managing the land. So she had like a blackberry vineyard, I guess is the way to put it. She had it set up just like a vineyard with they'd grow up in the lines and have to prune those. She had a pecan tree grove, and pecan trees lose limbs like crazy. So
I miss pecans.
I was out there picking up limbs. I had to mow probably 13 acres. And we planted trees at least once a week. There were some trees that she wanted planted. And just this, it was just a lot of yard work, but it was me and a couple buddies of mine. And that group changed based on who's graduating or what her class schedule was. And we'd pick up somebody here or there and we just go out there. She had a couple golf carts, and it was so much fun. Just working with her. She was just a joy to be around. It was fun goofing off with the guys. And then I still to this day, whenever I plant something, one of the things that she always did, we'd mix our own potting soil, if you will. So like, you dig out, if we're going to plant a tree, whatever kind of tree it was, we'd have to dig out so many feet, the hole. And then we take some of that soil and we'd have our peat moss and the little pellet stuff. I can't remember.
Vermiculite.
Yes. And then, a couple of other things and manure and whatever. And we'd mix all that in a wheelbarrow and, put it in there. But whenever you finished and you got everything in there, she's like, now give it the blessing of the foot. And then you'd have to go over there and step on it around the roots to get all the soil down. So now, without fail, if we plant something, I don't care who it is, and if it's in a pot, I still tell my kids or whatever, give it the blessing of the foot, so you can reach in there and tamp all the stuff down. A lot of fun work for Miss Fowler. Number 2, I would say, I guess the title of the job at the time was Director of Quality Processes and Services, but it was one of the jobs I had at JCI, and a lot of it had to do with I was just in the right place and from a career perspective, on the right team, like my peers, just a load of fun. My boss was fantastic. She was great to work with, and she had developed a really good team. And then the people that reported to me, I didn't handpick all of them. I had the opportunity to pick some of them, but all of them were just fantastic to work with. So I look, if you looked above me, great people, great teamwork. I look around me, the people that I'm working with on the leadership team, fantastic people. Still keeping. I actually texted some of those guys today just for fun. And then the people that worked with me is just like, I'm running a staff meeting and just happy about everybody that's in the room. It was just fantastic. And all of that, and we were all very successful in what we were doing. So just killing it from that perspective. So everything came together there. So that made that one of my favorite jobs that I've had. Number 1, summer camp counselor. And I did this job.
What camp?
So all of them. I was on a team of counselors for Royal Ambassadors for the Louisiana Baptist Convention.
Yeah.
Which was their
RAs.
Yeah. Like, so we taught, I hate to use this terminology, but it'll be the briefest way to get into this, like Boy Scouts, but faith-based.
Been there.
And
I was actually a Royal Ambassador back in the day.
As a Royal Ambassador, I will do my best to become a well-informed, responsible follower of Christ. You know the pledge?
No, I don't remember.
Jeez.
I remember that now that you're quoting it.
Clean, healthy, and mind and body.
I never had to learn it because I was never a camp counselor.
Said it every day.
Quite a few explosions since then.
Yeah. But so I was on a team that worked out of the central office in Alexandria that they would send to each associational camp a different one every week for the summer. So we spent 8 weeks of the summer traveling around. So we did Camp Bethany. We did, there was one up in Northeast Louisiana. There was one in North Central Louisiana. There was Tall Timbers in Alexandria. There was Judson down by Baton Rouge near Zachary. Living Waters out by Lake Pontchartrain. But we'd meet up on Sunday and carpool to wherever we were going. We had a deal where we're not using air conditioning. We're riding with the windows down in the summer in Louisiana. That's just, I don't know, just to keep us acclimated because we're outside every day anyway. So kind of avoided air conditioning all summer long and other than when we were sleeping. And good group of guys. I did that, I think it was 8 summers, almost all of high school and college. I'm pretty sure it was 8 summers. I think if I added it all up, I've spent a year of my life in a cabin with stinky, smelly boys. And we went through some crap. I mean, you'd have moms dropping kids off. Doctor said I should keep him off his Ritalin for 1 week a year. Good luck. Just stuff like that. And we had a kid freak out because they'd never sweat before. Like this, it was the
was that the age of video games?
The beginning of the Nintendo era, right? But just I don't know. That was a great job. And you're talking about all the goofing off that you were doing.
What is this?
What is this water coming out of my skin?
Scratching. He was freaking out. Call my mom. And that's pre-cell phone stuff too. So we had control.
The phone's not working. Sorry, son.
Yeah, we don't have phones.
Oh, yeah, there. The one line in the lunchroom, like, it's not working.
But man, that was just a blast. I mean, we just had so much fun. You talk about goofing off. There's a lot of goofing off between the counselors, and great job. Another great thing about it was you're on the clock. Like you're working. You couldn't spend money. Like you're at a camp
24/7.
Yeah, you're just raking in the
whatever. It wasn't a whole lot. Like I think when I started, it was $100 a week, something like that. It was not a lot of money. But if you work 8 weeks, you're not spending that money either. But then, you started getting paid more, and then I ended up moving into leadership positions among the counseling staff and whatnot. So I could build up a little money for college during the summertime. But it's cool because I liked it too, because you're just all moving around. You didn't go to the same place every week. It was somewhere new. I got to learn Louisiana really well, doing all that driving. All these back roads, these small places and whatnot. And loved it.
Hannah was a counselor at Pine Cove for a couple summers.
Yeah.
East Texas.
Oh, that's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
They won't let you know your name, all kinds of stuff. You had your own camp name. I went there. My sister worked there too.
Yeah.
And then I had a couple friends that worked there as well. And I popped in one weekend and was like, hey, I'm looking for Eric. Who? Like Eric Maxwell. Who's that? Well, he works at the the ski place, where they do the ski boats and whatnot down at the dock. You mean Gilligan? Like, I never heard. No, I don't mean Gilligan. I mean Eric. And then it's, is that warranty? No, it's the guy's name's Eric. I don't know who you're talking about. So it's just funny. They gave you a nickname, and that's the name you went by. And some people didn't even know their real names of the people that they worked with.
Interesting.
So how did you find the lady with the trees? How'd you find that job?
I think somebody that I knew. It's just you get into these circles of
friends and
yeah.
stuff.
And it was somebody that was older than me that was working for her. And then I started working there, and then that person moved on. And then I would get people to work there that I knew. I did the same thing. I worked as a delivery driver for a home medical equipment company, and that was I worked with Broughton there.
Yeah.
Like,
we've heard about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of funny because I had a job in college, and I just went up to, and I don't remember what the office was called, but they had a job board.
Oh yeah.
And
I imagine that's how it started.
And it was like a temporary, like short-term type jobs, like, or I need somebody this weekend to do this to earn, I'll pay you $10 an hour or something like that. And so I'd go down there and do that. And Audrey and I went one time, and we ended up at this place in Missouri, just picking up rocks on somebody's property and putting rocks into a wheelbarrow and rolling them down this hill and then dumping them at the bottom of the hill. I mean, it was just mindless work, but I was like, $10 an hour, pretty sore.
More than likely, it was a buddy of mine that worked on the agriculture side of the school, and she did a lot of work with the extension office. And I bet that's where she picked up somebody there talking to a professor or something like that, and she needed some help. And then that person started, and I knew them, or they knew somebody that knew me, and next thing you know, you get a whole group of people coming through there.
It was kind of weird because I did pick up some of those odd jobs, that those rocks being one of them.
Yeah.
And then this chiropractor's office needed somebody to answer phones and do billing, and I was like, or pre-auth stuff. I was like, whatever, I'll do that for a little bit. And so I did that until semester ended, and I just had a lot of odd jobs in between there, just making money.
Very
All
good.
Right. You got a good word for us?
I do.
Go ahead, Troy. Kick it.
All right, we are on day 29 of the Chosen 40 Days with Jesus Book 2, the Blue Book. Today's word or phrase is faith killer. So last week we talked about John being in prison. This week it comes from Mark 6:20. And we're going to talk a little bit about Herod and what he thought about John. So the verse is, when Herod heard John, he was greatly puzzled, yet he liked to listen to him. So that's an interesting phrase. He liked to listen to him. And then it talks a little bit about Herod and, his background, and, he was in major power, had a lot of power, but he also liked to please people. So he is a people pleaser. And they talk about in the book how, we can relate to being a people pleaser. Most of us hope not can relate to being the type of person that Herod was, but we can relate to some of the traits that he had in being a people pleaser. And so he had John thrown in prison just because John was going around telling everybody, hey, you shouldn't be sleeping with your brother's wife. That's, it's not good, and it's basically illegal. Mm-hmm. And so when he was, the wife told Herod, you got to shut this guy up. And so he threw him in prison. And probably when John was in prison, that's when Herod, got to talk to him, and John got to talk to him on more of a personal level, and probably shared the gospel with him, because that's what John did.
Preparing the way.
Right. Yeah. Prepared the way. So he would probably have, really good, intimate one-to-one talks. And he was greatly puzzled, but he liked to listen to him. So he liked to hear the gospel, even though he didn't really get it.
And so that means that John wasn't necessarily condemning the guy, right? He wasn't like, you sinner, you're going to hell.
You're going to hell because you're sleeping with your brother. No, he's like
engaging him in conversation in a way that promotes more conversation.
Right. And just like, hey, pointing out sin, and then I'm sure telling him, repent from your sin.
Yeah.
Turn from it and trust in the Lord. So, but ultimately we know what happened. What I'm trying to say, the wife's daughter is at a party and she's doing a little dance for everybody. And then the dance was so great. Herod asked her like, hey, I'll give you anything. What do you want? Of course, she says, I want John's head on a platter. And because he's such a people pleaser or scared of
herd mentality.
Exactly. I knew you were going to throw that in there. He was, scared of what the herd would do if he didn't bow to her wishes. And so he put John's head on a platter. And that was that.
Without the rest of his body.
Correct.
Yeah.
Chopped it right off. Yeah. So what can we learn from this? I think we can learn that, two things. We can learn from Herod and not be a people pleaser. Don't go along with the crowd. Don't be herd mentality. Yeah, I like that. But also full circle. But also kind of what you were saying. I mean, let's not be the Bible beaters that Christians get a bad rap for because of idiots like Westboro and those type of organizations. Let's be the true believers that just want to help people turn from their sin.
You could show people love without compromising what the Bible says.
Exactly.
Which is what we should do.
Yep. Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.